Welcome to Dry Dialogue, where we talk about Android development and Android in general. Do you ever wonder how application like Snapchat knows when you take a screenshot of your friend's stories? Well, if you're curious about that, this video is for you. In this video, I'll take you through how you can detect screenshot capture in your application. Starting from Android 14, we now have an official API that we can use to detect when the user captures a screenshot in your application. Now let's take a look at the code and how you can use this API. Let's look at this sample project here. So what we want here is when the user takes a screenshot, we want to increase the count here. So it will be 1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. So right now, if I take a screenshot, you can see that this is not changing. So let's write the code to make this change whenever we take a screenshot. The first thing I'm going to do is to call the API called screen capture callback. And every time we capture a screenshot, this callback will be executed here. So what we want here is just straightforward, just increase the count value. So it's in value, all right. And to tie this screen capture callback to our activity, we need to register it when the activity launches, and then we need to kill it when the activity is stopped. So let's do that quickly here, just by calling onStart. We will call register screen capture callback, and we'll pass this variable in here. Same thing we're going to do when the activity stops. We're going to deregister this screen capture callback. Now let's run the application and see how it looks. We need to pass the activity executor here, so you can just pass main executor. Now if I take a screenshot here, you will see that the number changes every time I take a screenshot. Now this is good because you can see that in the bottom, the user has this option here. The first thing is that they can click on it, they can share it very easily, they can edit very easily. And this also provides a way for them to know that when the application is tracking their screenshot. So it's good for privacy concern as well. This is a very good unified API that is now available for Android 14 and above. One thing you need to understand here is also you have to put this permission in your manifest file. So you need to put the permission called detect screen capture in your manifest file. But this is not a runtime permission, so you don't need to request this permission at runtime. But this also allows the user to understand that your application might be detecting screen capture. But if you look at this code here, right, you can still see that there's some error around here. Basically, this is because this API is only available on Android 14 and above. So how do we make the screen capture detection for the older API? So let's brainstorm a bit on how we can detect screen capture for older version of Android. Well, think of it this way, right? When we take a screenshot, what actually happened is that the system, the Android OS, creates a copy of your device, and then it will save that image into the device. So essentially, screenshot capture is just creating a file. It's literally just file creation. So what if our app can somehow observe the file changes happening in the device while the user uses our application? If we can do that, we can check the images and make sure these images are screenshot. If we can somehow do that, we can essentially detect screenshot capture in the code. So let's see how we can observe these file changes, and let's see if we can detect screenshot in older version of Android. So we have this content observer here, which is basically the main logic for detecting screenshot. So this is the API that is used to receive changes whenever something changes in your content provider. And the function callback here is called onChange. So whenever something changes occur in your media storage or in your content storage, it will notify this callback here, and we can do some stuff inside here. So I'm going to declare an object called Casa here. So this is basically Casa comes from a database API, and because content provider is a database at the end of the day, So we are basically saying that we want two columns from this thing. The first one is the name of the image itself and the path to the image. This is basically the absolute path to your image file. And then whenever something changes, we're going to go to the last one because we are only interested in the new file that are being created. From there, we want to get the file path of this image, and from here we get the path here, right? Now to detect whether this image is a screenshot or not, it's very straightforward. We are basically checking that, hey, if the path contains the file name called screenshot, that's our screenshot image. So if it is a screenshot and this is not a previous path, means that this is not the same as the before, we are going to make a callback called, oh, there's a new screenshot that are being taken. And then we close the cursor database access afterward to make sure that we don't do a deadlock in our database. All right, just by doing this, from the main activity, we are going to create a construct this this object. So we pass a handler here, we pass a context here, and this is a callback that is being used whenever you take a screenshot. So this is the last one here, which is basically the on screenshot taken callback. We're going to increase the counter here, and the same thing as before. Whenever the main activity resume and you go to pause mode, we're going to register the content observer, and we're gonna register the content observer when the activity stop working. So let's try it on the older device. This is API 28, which is very old version of Android. So let's take a screenshot here. And you will see that the count increased. Let's try again one more time to make sure it's not a fluke. It works. But why is this not a recommended way in this case? What is the problem with this approach? Well, the thing is, this actually requires you to ask for permission from the user, which is, if you're Android 32 and below, that means you need to ask for the full access to every single file on the device. But if you're on Android 33 and above, which is Android 13, I think, you only need to request access to images. But still, this is very intrusive, right? So imagine as a user, I have to give you access to all my images just so you can detect screenshot happening in the application. And because these tools are runtime permission, you also need to request this at runtime and not during the install time. So if the user denies your permission, then you cannot detect anymore. So there's a thing that you need to consider when you go with this approach is, do I need to ask this permission at all? Or do I really need this feature at all? If you don't need this feature, don't do it. This is not a good way. Wait for Android 14 adoption, and you can use a real official API from the Android. So that's it. So I showcased two ways that you can do to detect screenshot capture. Now the first way is using the screen capture callback that are available from Android 14 and above. And the second method is using the file detection API from Android, which is available for almost all Android version. But the caveat is that you need to request file storage permission from the user, which might not be really that feasible in real life because the user might be denying your permission. I'm going to put all the code in the description below so that you can also check out and run the application by yourself, and you can think about the code a bit and see if it works in your device or your application. That's it for the current video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll put more Android content on this channel, and stay tuned and see you in the next video.